sometimes you don't see it until it's there, you know. But it doesn't mean everybody else sees it. They may see something entirely different, you know. You're working with that space, and they're inside of this captured space here. So they have to interact with themselves.
What other people see sometimes surprises me. And I don't know really what everyone sees when they look at my paintings. And I'm not entirely responsible for that. I'm somewhat responsible for that.
I like to incorporate things that are not necessarily seen in our society. I chose to focus on day workers and jornaleros specifically because I feel that they are some of the most vulnerable communities and populations in our society. Their lives are hard, just like overall fear because of the climate that we're in right now. I allow the people that I work with to dictate how they want to be portrayed. These people I'm trying to photograph and honor are important and are valuable members of our society. Yeah.
Those images, you can come back months and that image is still there. You know, just like when you first discovered it was there. It's right there, it's real. And no one else is seeing it just because it pops out of the foliage, you know.
I know exactly what's in this painting. I know exactly what's here. So for me, it's indelible. It's there. I put it there over time. I rearranged it. I put it there again. But I don't know if it's there for you. If you see something else, I have to live with what I know is there. So essentially, it pulls together. Sometimes what I say will make sense to people. And sometimes we need to find another way to say it.
Personalities of the shapes, you can turn them around and they tell you a different story. They're individual figures, but you can get a different combination out of them and you get a different story. See, this guy is like, you put him over that way, he's walking away, right? You turn him this way, he's walking in. Is he turning back to them to ask them a question, or is he just taking off? Yeah.
Most of the impact is created out in the field and with the workers that I'm photographing. There's this worker who I met a couple months ago. He's from Oaxaca. He's a painter, carpenter, just an overall handy person. And he was okay with me photographing him, but due to the current climate that we're in right now with our current administration and other times, he might have been open to it, but he wasn't really okay with being filmed and it being kind of distributed out to the public.
I use stones, I use pieces of wood, I use all kinds of things in there to get the texture and all that horns of goats that's already shaped and stuff like that. You can be out there and they just appear. And the formation of the earth suggests certain things to you. I mean, just driving through, you may miss it. You say, well, this is a beautiful spot, but you don't know exactly what make it a beautiful spot. Whether it takes the light, reflects the light, pieces come out, light, receding, shadow, dark, heavy, charcoal, whatever.
I think that I am sometimes more of a stage manager. And I set it up. Okay, now it's time to work. We're not doing anything else right now. That's all we're doing. It's reinforcing that commitment to the work, which is what I think carries us forward, is the commitment.
I always like to approach someone with respect and honor, and I never approach them with my camera blazing, I always like to create a connection first with the person I'm hoping to photograph. Maybe share a meal or some coffee or tea. Those individuals give so much to our society and help us out in our community. And we're moving so fast every day that we don't have the time to look at someone in the eyes or just give them a smile.
I leave it open. It can take me places that I'm not aware I'm going there. And when I get there, I'll say, oh, that's where I want to be. That's like selection. You know, when you get there, you say, oh, I like this. I'll get that out.
The moment of knowing is really subtle, I think. It's not like thunderclaps. I think it's more like the questions have subsided for a moment and you make a move. And there's a moment when it's just a decision. It's just, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to make that larger. I'm going to make that grander. I'm going to take something away. And that's really what knowing feels like. It's not like a great grand certainty, but it is a little bit revelatory, I think, and I think I'm in the game for that.
You bring that image forth by, going back to it. So, well, there, that's real form. But it's only personal to you. Well, I would introduce myself as Doyle Foreman, sculptor. That's about all I can say. Professor of art. Yeah, enjoyed it. I received a lot from teaching, interacting with students.
I double majored in sociology and fine art. The things I learned in sociology and read about, I try to incorporate into my work. The things I was learning in sociology really shocked me and kind of woke me up. Coming here to Santa Cruz allowed me to expand my horizons, see something new. It led me to living in Germany, studying there for a year, studying sociology in German.
I'm Claire Thorson, and we're in my studio here in Elkhorn with some of my paintings and some of my drawings.
Sometimes it takes you to a place and you're not really pleased there, so you let it sit and try to digest it and see what happens. So that happens in the wax. You can melt them down or you can leave them around and they may grow into something. You make a breakthrough in the whole concept. Okay,
here we are. This is all you have to think about for a little while, this drawing. How good is that for your brain? How good is that for your nervous system? That's a really good opportunity. So just be here now, do the drawing. I'm sorry things aren't going well for you. I hope that works out. But drawing could make a difference. And I really do think drawing makes the world a better place.
I went back to Los Angeles to try to photograph folks in my community and also survey them about what they thought being a man was in South Central Los Angeles. Southeast Central, that's where technically I'm from, like Southeast Central. All of my family's there, a lot of good food. There's a lot of smog, it's kind of dirty, but it's all right. Like, that's what Los Angeles is. It's a little gritty, but aren't we all? Yeah. The reason why I chose this is because I feel like there's a lot of hyper-masculinity in Los Angeles and in my community because you have to be the toughest or the hardest or present something that is not necessarily true just to try to survive. I surveyed and interviewed one of my childhood friends since first grade, and being in Los Angeles and having to deal with the tension in his neighborhood, which was really gang-riddled and violence. The person I knew as a child was not the same person who I was talking to during that series. And I wanted my old friend back, but I don't know if that's ever possible. Yeah. Yeah.
A model is a creative person who presents himself or herself for a fixed period of time. So in that limit, there's a kind of urgency to put down something about that experience. I've come to really love that there's a limit. I can't be here all day. I just have to get something down about this moment that I'm living through in response to this model right now.
It's just clay. You can take it off. If you you just made this image, you want to keep on and hang on with that arm that goes there, fine. It's not that valuable. It's just clay, you know.
Oh, go ahead and try it. It's a drawing. It's a drawing. You know, it's 40 minutes of your life. You can try something. And in those incremental steps, I think people find out what they can do.
The work I do is cross-disciplinary, printed using a lithography press. It's really laborious, but I really enjoy it. It allows me to really think about the work I'm creating and be thoughtful and precise about what I create, because it's given me, I don't know, hours to think about the work and be sure that I want to create it.
What happens is unknown until it starts happening on a piece of paper or on a canvas is the really exciting part. So it's a kind of listening. Painting's like a kind of listening. It's really going to go through a huge transformation process before it arrives in the world. And that's the adventure. That's really the adventure.
I feel like art is primarily supposed to start a dialogue. That is what it is intended for. I mean, there's aesthetics and, you know, everything else in the middle, but I think the core idea of art is to start a conversation. I feel that the work I do lends to that because I wanted to start a conversation and I'm sincere about it. I hope to maybe eventually start a nonprofit dealing with you know, the youth and trying to gear them towards art, to get them talking, starting a conversation, getting them the tools that they need in their hands so that they can be empowered and they can change their environment.
It's not toward a certain end point. It's not toward a certain aesthetic. It's more toward discovering what the possibilities are. That's kind of what keeps you asking, could this be a little bit better? Could this be a little different? Could this go a little bit farther?
Still enjoy seeing things, you know, especially if they're produced by nature. You know, it keeps me moving forward.